Hello everyone, I'm Brock, the curly man behind Curly Man's Comics, and today I have a huge comic book haul. Alright, so this huge lot of comics that I have are either comics that I really like and wanted to buy to read, or they're comics that I kind of got behind on in my weekly schedule, so I bought them all recently online so I could read them all. I've read most of these, if not all of these. I think there's a couple I didn't, but without further ado, let's dive into the lot that I have. Alright, so the first issue that I want to talk about that I recently picked up is On the Stump issue number 1. And I really like the first issue. It's kind of died down in the later issues. I also got issue number 2. But this basically follows a world where politicians get into these Royal Rumble kind of deathmatch things to help pass laws. Whoever wins passes the law they want, or if you lose, your law doesn't go through. It's a really fun, interesting story. There's kind of some like deeper political strife they're trying to fight through. There's like a hidden messages in here, and I think that's getting really deep, so I'm interested in where that's going, but it's kind of seemed to slow down the farther it gets in. Next, I have The King of Nowhere. I have issue number 1 here, as well as issue number 3. Issue number 2 I was able to pick up at my shop, but these other issues I had to buy online. And this series follows this kind of druggy loser that ends up in this weird village called Nowhere, and in this place there's a bunch of people that have weird features. Some have like 6 arms, there's a fish guy, some angels, some devils, a deer boy, and basically he's trying to figure out why he's there, but while he's there there's also someone that's trying to kill him. So it's kind of him developing as a character, trying to fix the stuff that's going on in his life, but also someone hunting him down. And it's kind of this weird mystery. Is he in a dream state? Did he pass out somewhere? Is he actually in this weird area? So it's a really cool kind of twist. It's kind of getting a little dragged on, but it's got my favorite artist in it by far, Tyler Jenkins. I love his art, so I definitely recommend checking out that series. Up next, I have Ascender number 10. I'm still waiting on number 9 to come in, but this is just a really great watercolor story, which I'm a huge fan of. It follows this child who's basically lost her father and her mother, and she's trying to work her way through life. It also follows her father. There's aliens, there's space creatures, there's robots, there's space drama. It's really heartfelt in certain points. Some of your favorite characters might die off, but very cool story with some amazing art. Alright, so up next I have Dead Eyes issue number 4, and this follows this kind of ex-mercenary who's trying to get out of the life, but he gets drugged back into it because he needs money. He's trying to help out his friends, he's trying to help out the poor. It's kind of like a modern Robin Hood sort of tale, but with a lot more blood and guts and bad language, so I definitely recommend checking that out if you're into some darker reads. Up next we have Bleed Them Dry, issue number 1. And this is kind of like a future science-y comic that also involves vampires. There's a vampire on the police force who's partners with the main character, and there's kind of a twist at the end. It was an interesting story. The twist at the end makes me want to check out the second copy, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go much farther than that. This one is Black Manor issue number 4. I've read the first 3, but it's been a long time. I wasn't able to pick up this book for what seems like forever, so I haven't actually read this one quite yet. I want to reread the first 3. But it follows this kind of science mystical thing. There's these people with supernatural powers. It follows this main girl who's being hunted down, and she comes upon this black manor where there's a person there that says he's going to be able to help teach her stuff, but his son also doesn't like her. It's kind of some drama mixed in with some Harry Potter sort of stuff. So I definitely recommend checking it out if you're into that kind of fantasy realm. Next we have Nailbiter Returns issue number 1. And this is a story that follows a bunch of serial killers kind of doing their thing. There seems to be a new head serial killer above all these other serial killers, and it follows this town that's trying to deal with them, as well as the main character that's trying to cope and understand what's going on. Very interesting story. I definitely recommend checking out the first run. The second run seems pretty good, but I think it's going to take a little bit to get into the real action of it. Then we have issue number 2, another cool cover on that one. And now we have SFSX, or Safe Sex. I'm not quite sure what title they prefer it to go by. This follows a world where basically sexual activity is banned and it's not allowed, and people are punished heavily for doing it. they kind of like brain meld you and destroy your brain so you have no more sexual desires or fantasies or anything. Really weird, interesting story. Definitely for a mature audience. I have issue number 6 as well. This is another one. I have to read these 3 that I just bought. I'm a little behind. It's very intricate and wordy and in-depth, so it's something that you might have to read a couple times to really grasp what's going on, but it's a very well thought out story. This one was pretty hot. I think it was last week, if I remember right. Thor issue number 7. This is the first appearance of Black Winter in it, who's kind of this evil, all-powerful deity. I think he's going to tie in with Null, more than likely, since this is a Donny Cates story, and Donny Cates really loves to push this narrative of Null in Venom. I really enjoy the character, and I see this tying in somehow. Maybe the Dark Winter helped spawn Null. I don't know, just some speculation, but definitely one that you should check out. Next, I have Dead Body Road. And I believe this is the second run of this series. I think there was an earlier Dead Body Road, and I really want to check that one out after reading this one. It follows this woman who's basically this badass, and her druggy brother got into some trouble, so she's having to kill people and fight people off to try and find where he disappeared to, as well as keep other people away from him. So a family drama with a lot of blood, guts, and action. Manifest Destiny number 41. Manifest Destiny is a series that follows Lewis and Clark and Sacagawea, and they're kind of fighting all of these different creatures and animals and hybrids and monsters because they're trying to prepare the Americas for people that will be coming into it soon. Really interesting story. It took a long break for a while and it started back up again. This is issue 41. All of these are kind of issue by issue. There is an overall arc to the story, but it's kind of more episodic in a way where you're going to see a new creature every single issue. This little bear creature guy. So I really enjoy that series. I recommend checking it out. It's a long run, so you'll have plenty to read. Next up, we have Undone by Blood, or The Shadow of a Wanted Man. Very long title on this, but very good book. I really enjoy the art. It follows this girl whose family was killed in this desert town, and she's really changed who she is as a person. Now she's this person that just hates everyone. She goes back into this town. She's got a bunch of money. It's kind of suspicious what she's doing, but basically she's trying to find who murdered her family. This also has a story of this Western. She's reading this Western book while she's there, so it also shows pages from the book, and it seems like her life is kind of matching what's going on in the book. So it's kind of like 2 comics in one in a way. Really interesting series. Probably one of my favorite ones that's going out right now. I went back to my comic shop and bought some Venom issue number 25. This has the first cameo of Toxin, I believe was his name. He's going to be a new symbiote. He was just in one background panel, but really, really cool series. I really love what Donny Cates is doing with Venom. If you're not reading Venom, you should definitely hop onto it. This comic was not very good. It follows America Chavez, I believe her name is. I'm not quite sure what's going on with her. This is my first time trying to get into the character. I just really enjoyed Dustin Nugent's art, who does Ascender that I talked about earlier, but I was not a fan of this. I felt very lost. I probably should have tried to read some of, I think, Marvel's renditions of her before I got into this, but you'll learn as you buy. You kind of find what you like and what you don't. Okay, now we have Venom 25, which is also the first cameo, as I mentioned earlier, of Toxin. This is him on the cover. This is his first cover appearance. I had to buy it on Greg Horn's website, who's the guy who did this variant cover. And I just really, really enjoy this cover. It's definitely one that I may sell. I may keep the Virgin variant, which I also got. These things have just been skyrocketing. I'm kind of waiting to see where this character is going to go. Maybe I'll end up keeping them both because I just like the character so much. But I'm really happy that I got those. This is another story. Jacob Phillips is the son of Sean Phillips, who does a lot of different stories that I really enjoyed. Kill or Be Killed, Criminal. So his son is doing the art in this, and it's a brand new writer. It's kind of this weird, trippy, sci-fi, sort of zombie-ish sheriff town thing, I was very confused. The dialogue, in my opinion, was a little clunky, but it left me interested enough to pick up a second copy, so I'll give you my thoughts on it when that comes out. But for now, it's kind of on my hit list on if I want to get some more of it. This comic I saw at my comic shop. It's the first appearance of Miles Morales' little sister. I kind of fell off of Miles Morales for a while. I liked him before all the hype that was going out, and now I kind of feel like too much material is coming out about him, and it's kind of starting to lack a little. But I'm definitely interested in reading this one. I haven't read it quite yet. This was a great story. I really enjoyed Negan Lives. I enjoyed it enough to pick up 2 copies, one from online and one from my comic shop. I love Negan. He's probably going to be the next character I get tattooed on me. And this is just Negan being Negan, dropping a bunch of F-bombs, killing a bunch of people, doing whatever he likes in life. So, really great story. Vampire State Building, I believe I mentioned in one of my last hauls. This one is issue number 3, and then I have issue number 4. This follows vampires taking over the Empire State Building. Sounds like a really simple, kind of weird, dumb plot, but it's a great story, very well written. The artist is the same person who did most of the art for The Walking Dead, so I'm a huge fan of that, of course. So I definitely recommend checking out that book. It's a really short read. I think there's only 4 copies, so it's a really quick read. Batman number 93. I'm not really liking where Batman's going. I thought that Punchline would be more of a main character. This issue, as well as issue 94, kind of seemed to just throw the designer out of the way in prep for the next big Joker war, which I'm interested in. I believe that's going to start in the next issue, so I'm looking forward to those, but these ones kind of just seemed a little more like filler in my opinion. This was another great story. I'm a huge Jeff Lemire fan, so of course I'm going to enjoy this. Batman, the Smile Killer. It kind of follows Batman going through this trippy state of he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't know what's the past, what's the future, he doesn't know if what he's seeing is reality, because the Joker is kind of messing with his mind. Very interesting story. I'm curious to see if this will go anywhere else, or if this is kind of a one-shot, but either way it was a very interesting story. Could have been a little more unique, but I still enjoyed it either way. Alright, so all the rest of these are Eternals comics. I never read Eternals before, and I know there's a movie coming out, so I kind of wanted to read it to see if it was a movie I'd be interested in, and I really, really enjoyed the comics. So I got a bunch of them that were my favorite out of the lot. I didn't even pick up number 1, because number 1 wasn't necessarily my favorite, or had my favorite characters, but let's dive into this one first. And this is the second run of the Eternals. It's the Eternals issue number 2, and this one has the first appearance of Gar, I think is how you say his name. It's spelled really weird, but basically he's this evil deviant guy who wants to take over all the other deviants. In this series, there's 3 different races. There's the humans, the Eternals, which are more godly humans, and then there's the deviants, who are these deformed creatures, and then in the deviants are the mutates, which are the very deformed creatures. So this guy basically is killing a bunch of mutates. He's trying to take over power over all of the deviants, and this story follows basically him being the main bad guy, and the Eternals and the deviants and the humans trying to fight back. Very interesting story. I really enjoyed this character. This is from the same run, and this is issue number 3. It's the first appearance of Phastos, I believe is how you say his name. He's like the weapon builder of the Eternals, basically. He's the forge master in a way, but that's not the reason I got this. There's a character in this issue, and it starts out with him, and his name is Dave. He's just this suicidal guy that hates his life. He jumps off a building, and one of the Eternals saves him. My favorite Eternal, Circe, and she just kind of becomes best buds with this guy. She gives him a reason to live, and he just becomes a very enjoyable character. He doesn't care about life, so he just does whatever he wants. Like, he'll walk up to the super powerful bad guy and just punch him in the face because he just hates his life and he doesn't care what happens. I really enjoyed the character, by far. Probably my favorite character in the Eternal series, if not one of the top 3. This is issue number 8. Circe throws like a big get-together party because she just loves to party and have fun, and everything goes wrong, and she's all upset about what happens about the party, and Dave is upset also, of course, but just a really fun Really fun issue of this series. Probably my favorite issue of the second run of Eternals. This issue I just saw in my local comic shop and felt like I had to pick up. It's issue number 9. Thana basically takes over the power over all the Eternals. She's like the head Eternal. And Icarus is more of the main character Eternal. Icarus doesn't like Thana. I hate Thana. I wish she would just die. I'm sorry, it's just my opinion. You find out later why she was acting like such a person, but it still didn't redeem her in my eyes, so I was really happy to see Icarus kind of kicking her ass in this issue. Alright, now we're getting more into the first run, kind of. This is Eternals Annual number 1. This is another one of my favorite characters, Carcass. This is probably my least favorite character in all comics ever created. He's just the most uncreative character that exists. He's just an angry guy who wants to fight everyone, and I can't stand him, and it seems like no one else in the comics can stand him either. They just always kind of whack him on the back of the head. He's so annoying. I don't even know his name, and I don't care to learn it. I just hate him so much. But Carcass, who is kind of his friend in a way, is by far my favorite character in this series. So this kind of follows him and Carcass doing their thing, fighting off other people. Both of them were mutates, and Thana took them up to the Eternal Kingdom, so now they're deviant mutates fighting with the Eternals for the most part. So they're very creative characters in that way. You would think that Carcass, this big ugly red guy, would be a dumb idiot, but he's super intelligent. He loves to read like philosophy and stuff like that. And then the pretty boy you'd think would be the smart one, but he's just a big dumb idiot, and I hope he dies. That's my opinion. Okay, moving on, we have Eternals issue number 9. And this is the second appearance of Carcass, but it's his best known cover, obviously. It's him kind of coming out and fighting. In this issue, I don't want to give away too much, but there was like a gladiatorial battle between the mutates, and it includes Carcass's future friend, the guy that I hate, and Carcass, and a bunch of other people, and the Eternals. Just a really cool issue of this series. Next, I have issue number 8. Trying to remember. This is the first appearance of Carcass, as well as the other guy, I believe, that I don't like, so I don't really care. But first appearance of Carcass, and this is Crow, and this is Thana. I like Crow. Crow is kind of like, he's a bad deviant. He becomes kind of the leader of the deviants in a way, but he's still a likable person. Him and Thana kind of have a love connection, so that's the only kind of redeeming thing about Thana, in my opinion, is who she's with. I really enjoy him as a character. He's not the cut, dry, evil bad guy. He's got some character to him. And the final comic of this huge comic book haul is Eternals issue number 3, 8.5 CBCS, because it's way cheaper to get a CBCS. And this is the first appearance of Circe. And I mentioned earlier, Circe is one of my favorite characters in the Eternals. She's not like the other Eternals. She's not this serious character. She just likes to throw parties. She likes to have fun. She likes to mess with the other main characters if they're being annoying. Icarus seems to hate her all the time, so she'll just turn him into a goofball. She can adapt matter with her mind, so she'll put him in a dorky looking outfit or something. She's just a really fun, energetic, enjoyable character to this whole entire series, so that's why I like her so much. But that is my huge, gigantic comic book haul. The next ones probably aren't going to be as much because I'm running out of money day by day. But as always, I'm Brock, the Curly Man behind Curly Man's Comics, signing off.